Hi guys, I'm Shannon Johnson. I'm from Barbizon. I'm a lighting installer and project manager. And I'm here to teach you guys about the Element light board that is brand new and all of your brand new equipment. Super fun, right? Cool. So first things first, we're going to start off easy. We've got a power switch, which you guys can feel free to get up and look around and whatnot. There's a power switch on the back of this that I just keep in the on position all the time, but in case your light board ever doesn't turn on, maybe somebody screwed up and turned that off. Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm telling you about it. And then this little button, just like your computer at home, turns your light board on, and it'll boot up. And I leave my monitors on normally, but you can do whatever you want for power saving. On the back of your unit, while this is powering up, and you guys can come and take a look at this around here, there are several different ports, and I'll stand on the front and tell you all about it so you can look. There are several USB ports. A couple of them are powered, a couple of them are not. I think it's indicated on there. You got a DVI, 2 DVI ports, you got an RG, what do you call that? You got MIDI in and out if you were ever going to do time coding. I don't know that you would do that in here. Maybe in your rock and roll, probably not. So some of it will not be useful to you. You have your 2 Ethernet ports. One of them is currently connected to this. This is our little LAN, local area network, that connects this nifty little, not iPad, but what do you call it? Tablet, thank you. And on your tablet here, guys, if you hit this little button to see all your apps, there's an ARFR, it says ETC on it. Okay. Yeah, see that app
is this
there? This is yours, and there's one for each of the studios.
Chain it to the.
Oh, sorry. Let me get back to there.
Take it in the studio and dial stuff in.
Yeah, so you don't have to be in here to turn things on.
Just
So
a quick word, Shannon.
Yeah.
The framing is just from here to here, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, good.
Yeah, so, yeah.
All right. Well, anywho, this is important for you too. So it was just that on the main page, if you hit this button here, it's this ETC one.
Okay.
And if you go back, it's already set up for you guys. So all you'll have to do is hit this connect button. Connect. And then it'll come in here. And then
Save the password.
the password is saved, everything's saved. It should connect automatically as long as everything is on. Okay. And then you can control your world, and you guys can just play with this later. There's a bunch of different options, like one at full, enter, and then something should turn on. Okay, well, figure that out in a little bit.
Andy, you're going to be back there making it rain during under SF.
Yeah, we'll see.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that being able to
And
walk
here.
around with that thing.
Yeah, so you should be able to walk around the whole room and have connectivity. Optimally, this will be located in the catwalks, but some of your ports are not currently live, so I was having issues with that. So until that gets relocated out there, you may lose connection, but you just hit connect and it'll reconnect. Great, so that's fun. Yeah, go for it. Face panel layout. Let's see here. So turning on the console, we already went over. You have one USB port on the front here that you can save a file to a USB. I'm currently using it to charge your tablet here. You've got a Grand Master. This controls the levels. So if I had one at full, which you can see indicated here, and then I turn, oh, well, that's,
If I put
I
5
remember I didn't show
at
the,
full here, why is it not showing it there?
because you have to hit enter, sweetie. Boom. Always have to hit enter to activate what you've done.
How do I turn it off?
If you go 5 at 0 enter, that will turn that off. At 0, and then enter.
We do need to know how to operate this
so
thing.
there it goes.
Yeah, it's a little, I mean, you'll get around and play with it. If you hold this M button here, you can go to different screens. There's playback, which lets you run cues if you did a cue stack, which I don't see you guys doing here. You could control submasters, which we'll go over in a little bit. And if you hit and hold that again, I was in live here. And that just controls things individually. Or you can hit 1 through a certain amount etc.
It's a learning curve.
It's a learning curve, guys. You'll just have to go and play with it. And the more you use the console, the easier it will become.
And since I hop in and out of different studios all around the planet, and I run into a lot of boards, this board or other boards like it, the ETC hotline,
Yeah,
800
best.
number, best people in the world. They're not demeaning, they're friendly. They go, tell me what you're doing, let me walk you through it. They're so good. So don't ever be afraid of calling them. They're awesome.
Yes. So there's that. So you got your master playback. So see if I have one, I'll do 1 through like 50 at full. And then I don't have the right show file, so don't look out there right now. But if you have the grandmaster down, those will all be at 0. So it's like taking all the levels and pulling them all down together. And there's also a blackout button, which you can disable or leave enabled, that does everything at 0 as well. And you'll know that it's indicated because it's red, if we see that there.
And by the end of today, I'll have general looks for you in all these areas that you guys can then take as a starting point and play.
Perfect.
Cool. Great. Master playback, display navigation. Sorry. You can swap your displays. If you hit this up here at the little corner, you can make your screens look like whatever you want. And you have 3 different tabs, so 3 different screen options. So I can have live channel, which is everything that's on currently and controlled live. You can go to patch, and this is where you would change the way you have it set up. So each of those lights out there has an address, a DMX address. And then what I've done, what I'll do later is take this unit and make it 1, this one 2, this one 3, so that they're just numerically controlled. But you can set that pattern up to whatever you want in the future.
At the moment, if you went one at full, that first light would come up.
Right, if I had the show file loaded, but I don't. So, and you can see what each one is on here. So I have, oops, sorry, let me go on the page down here. So I've kind of labeled what they are, like Leonardo Super 6, that would turn on.
The column, the numbers on the far left.
So these are channels. So this is what I've assigned it to. This is its physical address at the unit, its
Right.
DMX address.
Okay.
And then this is what type of light it is, like the color source spots, which are the RGB units. So if I took 100 and hit enter, that takes a channel that I want to assign. And you can go to this little tab here. It says type, and I've already preloaded all of your options here. So you have color source par and a color source spot. So those are the only ones that have more than one channel of control.
Within the same instrument.
That is correct.
You know the backlights for the rock and roll area, and it can go white light, which you'll use for demo if you want, and then full on rock and roll for anything else you want to use.
Yeah, and the way you control all of those is going live. On your, this is what I would call the live screen, and it has anything with these little stars at the bottom have additional attributes. So these are all your RGB units.
Okay.
So if I did through 112 at full, and some stuff turned on out there, right? And then I'm going to go and add a tab at the bottom. So you click on this little plus sign here to add a tab. And I'm going to do your ML controls, which are moving light controls. And there's a bunch of different options. And then you can change their colors with the spectrum here, right? And if everybody sees that, yeah.
That deserves an now.
Right?
That's
So
awesome.
that's the funnest part of this whole thing. You could make them strobe for your rock and roll.
You know, we only shoot black and white.
Da da da. End of story there. And if you want them to go back to their original settings, there's this home emergency.
You're out of time.
there's this little home button up here, or if
So
I
that's gonna
had,
reset the entire.
yeah, the entire fixture, or you can reset one attribute by just hitting the home button
home
underneath
button,
that
okay.
particular attribute.
Okay.
So,
Can we go back to the channels?
yes, of
'Cause
course.
I'm a little curious how you got those channels.
How I assigned them?
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about? Okay, let's say I have a unit. I have a channel that I want that unit to be, and it's 100. I want to control it by channel 100.
Okay.
And I know it's set at 55 out there, or 500, or whatever it
I mean,
is.
DMX number.
DMX number.
The address.
The address on the fixture.
Okay, and how do you know that? You
Because
know-
I've set the address on the fixture. So you have to physically go to that fixture.
Right, but how do you know it now? We're gonna have a cheat sheet?
Yeah. So I've got this little map here.
Right.
And you guys can get a copy of this, of course. And it doesn't have the addresses, but I'll add them to it for you so that you'll know what they are.
Okay.
These are just the control channels currently. I was trying to keep it clean, but I'll add the addresses underneath so that you'll know what they physically are out there.
How
Okay?
many do we have total?
Oh, 53 right now.
And those are the if you go back to the other tab, those are the kind of like this.
Yes. This is a show file I made in the
Those are more than
in my
53.
office,
Uh-huh.
and it had every single instrument that was coming to your facility, so that I could test them all and make sure everything worked. But I have a show file on my USB drive right here, which might not be a bad thing. Sorry, I just dropped your loft to show you. So if I put my USB drive in here,
You can watch a movie.
yes, you can hit displays, or there's a displays button right here. Or I can hit this little arrow up button in the down right corner. And that gives me options to save. I could save onto my USB drive or onto the hard drive internally.
I would do both, by the way.
Yes, you should always back up your program.
Multiple places, multiple times.
You can open a past show file on your USB or on here, and I'm going to open the show file that I've made last night, Studio One patch. And so when you open a file, you have all these options. You can open just a portion of it. I want to just load the cues from that show. I want to load just the patch from that show, or you could just do everything. So I'm just going to do everything. And now I've loaded the show, and now we have just 53
lines
units.
that
Yeah.
Perfect.
And now I'm going to take one at full, and I'm not sure why that light is not turning on. It's actually really,
I didn't do it.
there you go. So, and then
That was 2.
2 is on, and 3 is on.
What are the keystrokes that
Yeah,
you're doing right now?
Oh, sure. So I'm going to do just the number, 3, and then at, full.
Where's full?
Full is right
Okay.
here. And you guys will just have to come and play with it. And then enter.
And then when you do that, you can get it on the wheel, right?
Yep. Then I can control the intensity
Whatever you want.
of it. So if I took multiple units, you could do 5, and then there's a plus, a through, and a minus up here. So you could do multiple units through, say, 20, and then I could hit enter to connect them, and then just
Yep.
take them.
How would you do if you don't want through, but let's say you want channel 5, 10, and 12?
So
5
5
plus 12.
plus, yes, 10 plus 12.
Then you select the individual.
And do you have to
Yes.
hit clear every time before you do new addresses? New
Yeah.
channels?
Oh, well, no, you don't. You don't. After the command is complete, then it will just
Okay.
enter a new command. If you messed something up, like I said, 1 through 5 minus 6, oh shoot, then you have to hit clear to
Yeah.
clear 1, and it's just every.
Well, what if you did 1 through 5, and then, and you do enter, and then you set the level, and
Yeah.
then you say, ooh, I wanted to do 6 as well.
Then you'd have to bring up 6 individually. Or you could do 1 through 5 at. Sorry, I had
There's that
fat
clear-
finger
there's that clear
syndrome.
button.
1 through 5 at 80, let's say. And then I wanted 6 to be just like them, but I couldn't remember the value. I was out there or something. I could do 6. And then there's this nifty little button up here called recall from.
Oh.
And I could recall it from another channel.
And
and then
Yeah,
enter.
But once you enter a new value
Mm-hmm.
and hit enter, it's not gonna cancel what you've already set up.
Yes, it will not cancel what you've already set up.
So,
It will not override.
so how do I cancel all that? Let's say I said, oh shit, I don't wanna do 1 through
Oh.
5, I just wanna do 6 through 7.
If you want to just undo your last step or multiple steps, there's this undo button, which is the best feature on this board, in my opinion. You can hit undo, and then you can see all of your moves that are undoable. And you could do back through several things. So I could undo several moves or just, let's say, just one.
Does it have to be sequential undo, or like
Yep.
say if so you can't just
Yep.
I see.
So that's the, you can't just pick one. You have to undo sequentially. You can't. But it's better than that. Yes.
And through is minus?
No, there's a plus, a
Yeah.
through, and a minus.
Oh, I see, there's a
so
word, there's
if,
a button that says through.
yeah, if I did 1 through 50, but I didn't want, 49, then I would do minus 49.
And it'll do,
And all of a sudden, I have everything selected
Right.
except for 49.
So, by the way, guys, just because she's going deep on a lot of stuff. That
Sorry,
we
you won't
it's okay.
do.
We rarely do any of this.
Sure.
You'll pull up a thing and go, actually, the backlight's too bright, can you take 3 down?
Yeah.
And you'll go 3 at 50 and check it, and then walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
or, I mean, is the easiest way to do it is just like 3 at full and then just bring it down with the wheel?
Yeah, that's
And
what
if
I do.
somebody's- If you're out there especially, you can sit and watch it
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
with
awesome.
the tablet, that's the bomb.
Yeah, so everything's controllable through the tablet, and you can, on your tablet, you have the ML controls, the moving light controls, so you have your color wheel, and you can do all sorts of
Can
stuff
we use
with
the
that.
mouse, or it has to be the keyboard?
Good question. You can use the mouse. I rarely do, because it's just easier for me to type, because I personally,
It's slow on the mouse.
it is. A thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, since this is a setup that is not necessarily going to change anytime soon, is a magic
Can we
sheet.
repeat that 3 times?
Not going to change
So we can't move
necessarily.
loud for the microphone.
You can do whatever you want. I don't know.
Well,
Sorry, that's for y'all to discuss.
What I was,
This is part of a larger discussion.
well, yeah, and what I was gonna say is, what I'm gonna get set up, just because I've done this so many times,
Uh-huh.
most likely what you guys will do is go, is backgrounds and hairline. That's what you're gonna be messing with. Turn the background off, make it a different color, bring that hairline down, can you bring it up for that person's hair? Otherwise, most everything's gonna be pretty rock solid. You shouldn't have to mess with too many things. The music area has a lot of options, and we can talk about that later, but that's your big area of play.
So,
I'm gonna head outside, holler.
all right, cool, no problem.
Don't forget your car, Bill.
We already did it, thank you.
So let's say if you guys were going to have this and it was going to be just stationary all the time and nothing was going to move. I don't know if that's the way you're going. If it is, then a cool tool is the magic sheet. You can kind of make a layout of what your room looks like with each instrument on it placed relatively where your instrument is in real life. And then instead of having to remember numbers, you could just go, oh, I see that light over there, click it at full, add 2, and then it's more of a visual board at that point. So that's an option for you guys to delve into later. But let's go back to, what were we talking about? We were talking about patching originally, right? That's what your question
Right, yeah,
was.
Yeah, how you came up with channels in relation to DMX address.
So I know what the physical address is, right? I know it's 50, or I'm going to say 500 because I'm not using that one. And I want it to be 100. So I'm going to take channel 100.
I'm sorry, what was the keystroke there?
I'm just going to hit 100,
Okay,
and it automatically assumes channel because channel's in the left-hand column.
okay.
And I'm going to assign it to
And what was that keystroke?
at 50. So don't use that one. Sorry. So I took 100 at then the DMX address, which is 500, and then enter. And if it was going to be a channel with multiple attributes, you would do 101. Let's make a new one. at 500 or 501, and then you change your type. You go over to type, and then you say color source par, let's call it, and it automatically fills in how many attribute channels there are.
So on the instrument, when it has multiple attributes, each attribute has its own DMX address?
Yes, but on the unit you'll only see the start address.
Okay.
So it'll say 101 or 501, and then it knows that it has 4 more channels, 4 more DMX addresses after that. And the board is smart enough, once you tell it the type, to know that as well. And I've preloaded what your options are in here, the ones you have in your room. Everything else doesn't have more attributes, so it's just 1 to 1 basically. So you take 50 and attach it to 1, and there's no further steps.
So the only attribute to those other ones is intensity?
Yep, so it's just intensity. It's just 0 to 100 in intensity. That's all you're attaching. Now in the pars, you're attaching all the colors and an intensity and a power. So you've got power, intensity, RGB. Cool.
Power being?
The unit needs power. So one of the channels is power to the
yes,
unit.
Yeah, I remember when I tested them out, that was a little bit of a mystery.
Right.
That you had to have that one up first.
Yes.
Yes.
But now that you've attached it as an actual source, a color source par, when you go to your ML controls, it's always powered on, and then you would just, I don't know, whatever you were attached to, 44 at full, and now it knows that it is that light and that it has these attributes that you can change. So
Is there any way we can label so we don't have to we don't have to use the cheat sheet that much to see which one it's, or we'll just have to see the number?
the number is all that you can view on this screen. You could make this screen into a split screen. So I went up to that corner piece, and then this little piece up here, and then I hit layout, and now I'm gonna make ML controls at the bottom here.
Okay.
And I can make that, if you have really good eyesight, which I don't, you could zoom out on there to see all of your instruments. And now I have 44, and as soon as I attach it, it knows it has ML controls. But if I attached 42, like I said, 42 enter, which doesn't have those attributes, nothing shows up
Right.
down here.
If I go to, you
Go
mind
for
if
it,
I do
type. Go
So
for it.
If I go to 47, because I know that's going to have an attribute, because I see the two
Yes.
dots there.
And then hit enter.
42, enter, so it's going to,
Yes.
that's, I think that's useful
It
for me.
auto-populates.
And then I just change the, is there any way I can,
You can do them individually, RGB right there, your red, green, blue, and that's like basically a visual of this wheel.
if I set,
So you have to roll up with your little mouse thing or that, yeah.
I think what Oscar was asking was, can you, instead of having numbers, or in addition to the numbers, can you actually name?
right, like label each thing, but I don't think.
No, if you were going to go that route, I would make myself a magic sheet, which takes a little bit of time to do, but you could put labels on the magic sheet that said, this is a front light, or this is a, I don't know your terms, key, or whatever you want to call it.
How many lights have RGB?
You have in here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You have 12 in here.
Well,
I mean, at least we know that they're, the icon is a little bit larger and it has the 2 dots.
Yeah, and there's multiple ways to view these screens. If you ever are in a screen and you hit format, it'll change how you view. And this is just an inconvenient way to view things, I feel. It's very small, yeah. So I keep it like this for my personal preference because I can see everything at once, you know what I mean? So that'll just be something that an individual will choose how to view their screens. All right, so we did patching. We did great. Addresses, let's see here. Programming syntax, command termination, okay. Sorry, am I reading this? Forward notation. So syntax is just what we've been talking about. You say the channel number, the number of control that you want I want to control 1. I know where it is. And then you hit, 1, and then you hit what you want it to do. You want to do at a level, and then you hit your level intensity, and then enter. So 1 at 60, enter. 1 at full, enter. 1 at out, which is 0, essentially.
When
Or
we
you
were
could just-
testing this board yesterday, the first key you told me to hit was address.
Address was because
We hadn't assigned anything yet?
yes, and you can control these by address. Like, I know that one is physically addressed at, I don't know, 400. I could do that. You have these little soft keys, or what I call these here. These are additional buttons that are not on here. They're not located on here. So you can hit more soft keys. You've got park, you've got active. These are just some other probably things that you can look through. Where's address? Oh, address. So if I needed to, if I didn't have it assigned to something, but I wanted to test it, I could say address 500 at full, and then whatever light that was would turn on, and it's the physical DMX address at the unit instead of assigning it to something first. That's how I test things.
So what you're saying is that this number's 1, what happened to 1, by the way?
I have to patch something. I
Okay.
fucked something
Right.
up.
So from 1 to 53, that's the parameter that you assign to the actual address, right?
Yes.
So it's not, it's just like we can
You can-
relabel
yeah.
this. Okay.
Yep, so in patch, there's this button up here that's patch. That's where we were to change all of that.
But really, can you see any reason why any of us would need to change the patch?
No, no, no,
If
no,
you add a light, you're going to have to patch it in.
Right, but as far as the patches that have been assigned at this point, is there?
Not necessarily.
Yeah, okay.
You know, if a light, if you move it
If they
to
move the
another
lights,
place.
We'll have to reassign the.
So if you
These
move
are
it,
the
you might
things
wanna
that-
patch it so it has a number close to something
The
that
DMX.
lives near?
Well, whatever. Currently, what it is I've done nearest to furthest, and I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But let's say I wanted to control all my backlights together in a numerical sequence. Like, I wanted those to be 1 through 5 instead of 1, 7,
Right.
10.
So you might repatch it.
Exactly. So it's all about convenience to you guys. This was particularly convenient to me, but when I do a lighting design and I have a bunch of front light, I want them all to be numerical no matter where they're located in the world. So I make them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the stage.
And now, can you store your patching assignments
Mm-hmm.
and have different?
Different patches?
Yeah.
It would be just a different show file,
Okay,
basically.
Okay, so it'd just be, so this is like show file 1, the one that we're looking at now?
This is SFSU Studio 1 patch, and that's what I've called it, and you guys can feel free to change it if you want afterwards, whatever is most convenient to you guys. This is just what was convenient to me today, you know what I mean?
Those lights directly connected to the DMX outlet over there? And then how do they communicate to that?
So the
wireless?
setup we have in here is a wireless setup. So I have up in the catwalks a transmitter that is connected through DMX to the back of this light board. There's a port out there that it's connected to, a cable that runs down and it's connected, and then it comes out, and right here is this cable, and it is connected into DMX1. And so that transmits. So this connects directly to that and transmits. And now in each of these battens is 1 or 2
Okay, I see that.
wireless relays that receive that signal and then send a value to your
Here, and
lights.
then it goes in here.
Did you ever have to put more than one receiver on a batten?
I did, because anywhere where we used your parabeams or the Image 85s, they have an Edison connector, so I had to use a special connector for them. So they each have their own if it's one of those lights. But we have enough, and I think I have 1 or 2 spares as well. So that's lovely. That's great.
Can we lock our channel assignments?
Huh?
Can we lock our channel assignments so that, for example, if the students are in here pressing buttons as sometimes they will do?
No,
That
No, but-
there is
but we
not.
could- we
You can
could
keep.
have
save the
a,
show, we'd save our original
show
template
file
for, yeah,
on-
show file.
and have it yourself
Okay.
on a USB.
Uh-huh.
I just
That
want a
is
way
true.
they can't mess
And
it up.
also with the plot,
Yeah.
this is a visual of that. And so if you ever really need to restore it and you can't find the file somewhere, you can always refer back to this.
Okay.
And if you add something, just update
Yeah.
the plot, you know? That's what I would do.
All right.
The problem is, we discover this when class starts, and you only have a certain amount of time before you have to,
No,
yeah,
but-
so.
Panic.
But if you had,
can't
the-
do that.
if you had the show
Yeah.
file
Yeah.
on a USB, it's
Yep.
a matter of
Reload
just
it.
seconds, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
to reload it
Okay.
in and
It,
so-
because
it will happen.
Mhm.
A student's gonna come in there and they're gonna reassign everything.
no worries.
So true.
You know, you say, that's all right, and we'll just restore back to.
It's easy peasy. It's so easy. All you have to do is hit displays and then go find your USB, and here it is, and double click, and there it is. It's open and done.
Displays on the keyboard?
Displays is right there. And that brings you to your file, and that's how you exit and enter.
So let's say we want to copy the file that you have for this. Is there any way we can, and I'm thinking about like a more practical way, let's say that we just want the entire news desk on with everything at 100%.
Sure.
Is there like a shortcut that we can do that? Because
What-
like Mike was saying, sometimes we don't have the time and we just have to like get
Oh,
started.
okay. Beyond using a file, okay, we're talking about this is we're in the right show file, and you want to bring up a group of fixtures. So let's record a submaster,
Right.
which is just going to be one of these guys that you can just fade up and down. Okay. I'm going to, sorry, for just ease of viewing, I'm going to change back to a full workspace so I can see what I'm doing. Format. With your formatting, there's this flexi channel button, and that gets rid of anything that's not currently patched. So you don't have to see 1 through 5,000. It's my favorite button.
Flexi?
Flexi, yep, it's right here. And the formatting button is above and to the left of that. So that's how you change how your screens look. Flexi. So Flexi, you see, is changing my options up here. Selected channels only. This is everything in the whole universe, so all these gray ones are not being used. Patched channels are my favorite view because then I don't have to see everything, just anything I can control. So there's plenty of options there you guys can play with. It's all personal preference. All right, so I'm gonna do 1 through 15, let's say, at full. Right, that turns on, say, your news desk area. Now I'm going to record. There's this record button here. These are all of your important buttons. Record, submaster, so record sub 1, enter. And I can label that as well. There's a label that brings up, and let's say news desk. Okay, news desk. And you might want to put a piece of board tape down here that you guys can erase and label all of these. But that way, when you go to your subs, if you double tap any of these buttons, it'll bring up another page that shows you what you've done.
How did you assign the number of fader, the sub?
Let's go back to live here. I did 1 through 15, and I brought them to the value I wanted at full. And then hit record. Oops, sorry. Record sub, and then whatever number.
Record then sub?
Yes, record sub, so I know
Not
what I'm
together,
recording.
yeah, but-
And then 1, and you see how sub 1 over here has lit up. Okay. Go to Q out, which will turn off everything. And now somebody take that fader. Why don't you take that fader up? And now you can control its intensity. And because you've made your intensity full, when that fader is all the way up at full, then it's at full. Now, let's say I did 1 through 80 at 60, not at 600. I have fat fingers, sorry. And then hit record sub 2. And now seat sub 2 turned green. Let me go to Q out so we can see everything. And
we'll have to-
also highest takes precedence, so you've got 2 faders on that are controlling the same thing. So turn that off. And now we can see. Now go all the way to full with the other guy.
Fade.
And now that only went to 60?
That's, yes, so whatever your intensity is set at.
Okay. So let's say I set this, and now I say, you know, that backlight there is a little too hot.
Let's say I wanted channel 50 was too hot. So I took 50 at a lower intensity, and now I say update, which is right here under record, and it'll take anything you've changed, and only what you've changed. Update sub 2. So I'm telling it what I want to update.
Okay.
And now
it's gonna-
Re-record it,
it updated your value.
but that
Yes.
is now my value on that sub.
That is true.
So it wasn't a temporary change, it was a
Yep.
recorded change.
And that was recorded. If you wanted it to be temporary, then you would just do 49, and I rolled it down, and that's it.
Oh, and that would override whatever the sub is, without affecting any of the others.
Yep, and then it doesn't record it into the sub, it just
Right.
is. And then when I hit, you know, clear or whatever, it'll just go away. It'll just go return to its value that it was in the submaster.
Oh, yeah, there it goes.
Does that make sense to you guys?
We do a show every year called BECA Fest,
Uh-huh.
and in that in that show there are many lighting cues. Is there a way
Yeah.
to have
Sure,
multiple lighting cues in one show?
of course. Let's take that fader down for me, please. Let's record some cues. And I'm going to go back to our double, and instead down here, I'm going to just make another tab. Down here, you can just add a tab. So there's a tab. Where is playback status? So this will show you all the cues that you've recorded. Currently, we have nothing. But why don't you take over? And I'm going to have you type in, you know, 1 through 50 at 70. Through is right above 8.
Through where?
50
Okay.
at, and that's going to be over on your right there, 70,
Okay.
and then enter. Great. And now record, which is that button, top, and Q,
Cue.
1,
Okay.
enter. And now all of a sudden we have a Q.
Excellent.
And we have a time. If you see 5 here, this is just what they always the default time.
So we recorded it as a sub.
As a,
As
so
a
if-
cue.
Oh, but is there a Q button?
yes,
Yep, right here.
there's a Q button.
So you said 1 through 50 at whatever,
Right.
record,
Yep, and then Q,
and
As Q1.
yeah,
and then Q, and
and then whatever number. Yes, does that
Q1.
make
And
sense?
is
then
that
you
being
could go
saved
into the-
here or here?
No, neither.
Neither one. Those are saved cues.
Completely
So
different,
when you
okay.
have a list of cues, you can hit go. It's like a theater board.
Got it.
So it then goes down and
Yep.
changes cues.
So now take out one.
So, and it goes sequentially is what happens.
Yep.
So you've got to program them sequentially.
Yes, and you can assign it to. So take out. Well, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong thing up here. Live. So take out everything that's on right now. Look at your little tombstones up there and say, you know, 2 through whatever's on.
50.
Great. Now record Q5, let's say.
Record.
Q button.
Okay. Q. I remember hitting at. That's important. Okay.
Different board probably. Now hit enter. Now we have Q5. So they are sequential, but you don't have to make it 1, 2, 3. You could even do a point Q. Now take 1 through 5. Let's set somebody else. Why don't you take 1 through 5?
So first, go to Q button,
Oh, we're going to take channel 1. So 1
1
through
through
5 at, let's say 30.
30,
And then enter. So they do.
enter,
Great. Now record, which is over here.
record,
Q
Q,
5.1.
5.1, okay. and
Enter. Great. So now we have a list of cues, basically.
Okay, so that's cool.
Now, this button here controls those cues. There's a go and a stop and a back button in case you screw up. But I'm going to load a cue by hitting this button here, which is go to queue. And then I'm going to say 1, and then hit enter. And that you can see running. It's 70%, 100% done. Your next queue coming up is 5, and the timing is here. So somebody hit go over there. Hit that button. It's very satisfying to see it go. And now you see it's going down in 5 seconds. So that time value is seconds.
Excellent.
Okay, and now
How about
Change
duration?
that- Yeah, how do we change
Yes.
that time?
timing is here. There's the time button. If you're in a queue currently, you can change the time without having to do anything except for hit time.
Okay.
And it automatically assumes you want to change what you're in currently.
Excellent.
And then let's say 3.5 seconds.
Okay.
There you go. So I want you to change the time of Q 5.1. So hit Q 5.1. Right here.
Oh.
I know.
It's so big.
Yeah.
And then hit time. Oh, right there. Yeah. And then make it a 4 seconds. So 4.
Just 4.
And then enter. I know, it's all about remembering where that. And now you see the value has changed to 4 seconds.
Perfect.
Now let's say we have some of the colored lights on, some of the RGB lights on. I want you to take 44 and 47 at 50.
So, 44 plus 47
Yep,
at 50%,
yep,
enter.
uh-huh. And now I want you to change their color. And how you're gonna do that is you're gonna take this mouse here and you're gonna go to ML controls, but I want you to physically do it so that you'll remember how to do it. So go to the ML controls and now change them to some other color, anything
And
else.
you have to use the mouse?
Yep, and you can just click anywhere in there,
Okay.
okay?
Now, did it matter that he used the ML controls on the bottom and not the one on top?
No.
Okay.
You can, if you
Like
wanted
either
to
or.
do it up there, you could go there. I just do that so I
We
can
changed that
see.
so we could have both displays.
No, I get
So
it. I was just wondering if they're separate controls or if they're the same one.
No, or I can make one whole other page ML controls or whatever. It just, this was convenient for us. So now I want you to, huh?
Did that,
Yeah.
do we finish?
Yeah, if you look
So
at it,
now-
it's
But it didn't save it.
But I want you to, so we haven't recorded the Q. So record Q6 for me. Enter. And now change the time to an 8.
So
Just hit-
Q6,
Yeah.
Uh-huh, time,
time,
and then 8.
Mhm.
And then enter.
And it assumes seconds, which is nice.
Yes. Now, if you wanted it to be minutes, you would just hit like 60 would make
Yeah.
it 1 minute.
Yeah, I don't think we're.
Things like that. Now,
So, is it on the list there?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and how do you?
yes.
Excuse me, can you turn all the color source spots on?
Color source spots, of course. I'll just park them on for you so we won't mess with them. I'll park them on so what we do won't mess with them.
50% of the color and I'll play with the thing.
Great.
How do you trigger that now? So that's Q6.
Uh-huh. So you could either go to Q6 or you could, if you were in the Q stack already, you could go back and then hit go. But let me do what he needs real quick. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to the park button up here and I'm going to park on, oh, which ones are they? Sorry. Okay, so anything, he wants all the color source spots. So he wants anything with color. 18 plus 21 plus 22 plus, and this is why you might want to, or rearrange, because it's kind of atrocious sometimes to, plus 47 plus
You
50.
know this in your head?
No,
She's
it,
looking.
She's looking at
No.
little dots
Oh,
in there.
but you see, oh, right.
There's a little dots.
Yeah.
Say it would.
And then I'm going to take them at 50, and I'm going to make, so I took them to 50, and I'm going to go to my ML controls and change their color to home. And
Home is always white.
yes.
So I can, if I wanted, say my show, I'm doing news, and I want all the front lights, 1 through 5,
Uh-huh.
and I reassign those, and I want all my backlights, 10 through 18.
Yeah.
Nothing on 12C has been up yet today.
12C.
One color source on 12C, the far one, is not up yet.
I'll have to troubleshoot that. I'm sorry I don't have control of it right now.
Anyway, any changes I make, I can save onto my drive, and as long as everybody
Yeah.
else has saved their stuff, it's not gonna affect them, correct?
That is true.
Okay.
Let me, I'm sorry, now I have to think of how to.
You said you wanted blue?
Yeah, I think so, but I'm trying to find the select, select last button somewhere. I know it's there. I know there's a fucking, oh, it's the soft key on this board. Select last,
We're gonna have to save.
and then
the end of the
enter.
class,
So this is just a little,
That's why I was saying that maybe.
there you go. And now they want, I have to just tell them that there are
ABC at full.
some lenses that they can use. Do you want the box of lens options? So here's some lens options for you. They're from narrow flood all the way through extra wide flood, and you have 4 of each type. So feel free to, and they say what they are on them.
Thank you.
No problem. Which one is it?
That whole pattern's been dark since
All right, well, I'll have to troubleshoot it, but I need to finish their class. Thank you so much.
Anybody can use any
But you
show,
can
as long as
change
you're
them.
saving.
No, we can vote our own shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
But it might not be a bad idea to somehow, if it's possible, to copy that as a starting point for everybody. To
Right.
just have
Right.
all the lights up, so everybody's got that one ready to go. Cause you know, we're not gonna be using the new set, but
Right.
if for any reason there, we wanted those lights to
Fine.
get up, we should still have it as a sub.
Right.
On our own
You
shows.
may do a skit
Show
where
file.
somebody wants to play a news anchor.
Sure.
And
Exactly.
so you'll
Just to
have
have them all up.
Yeah.
And just
And-
to have it, but I think that Shannon said that we can save it to a flash drive, but also
Internal.
internal memory, right?
Yeah.
So,
but you want the flash drive in case somebody
There we go.
screws up the save
Right.
internal one. So Shannon, what they were suggesting,
Yes.
which I think is a good idea, is that I think there's 5 plots down there, that 5 specific
Areas. Uh-huh.
right? And that we have them have a sub set up for each one
That's true.
and at full
Mhm.
and have it loaded into
Yeah,
the internal memory, and then we'll put it on a couple sticks.
sounds great.
And then they'll know.
That's
you
your
know,
basis or whatever.
Like
Mike's
breaking
always
case of
gonna be the
emergency.
same, he's always gonna be the new set, and you're always gonna be
Yeah, yeah.
whatever, and Chris,
Yeah, that
Yes.
sounds like a good plan. I mean, it's all about user,
Yeah.
whatever you guys want in the end is easy to do,
And there's a user's manual down.
This, the most important thing I should have told you.
This
There
is,
is.
online as well?
This
I'd
is,
like
all,
to
yeah,
read
you
these.
can put it onto your, I have it on my iPhone. You could do,
I'd like
it's
to
all
make it available
online.
for the kids.
There's a CD as well if you want to make copies of that, I believe. Oh, mouse pad, there you go.
Very nice.
ETC mouse pad. But it's got everything you could ever want to do in here,
Okay.
in there, thank you.
So what do you mean that we can get it on our iPhone?
Oh, you can go to their website, ETC's website, and then download the manual to your phone.
Okay.
So I have it on, just iBooks.
Oh, I didn't know if it was like an app. 'cause,
Oh.
everything's an app.
I wish, yeah. Well, I just download all their manuals all the time. Okay, so that's who.
Do you know the model number? Or is it the
Oh.
only one that's on there?
It's an element.
This is called Element?
this is the element 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a good thing to bring up is this little circle button, or circle up here. Now, if I switch it, it changes all of these submasters to channels. So I could take 1 or 2, that controls 2.
That's good to know.
That's like
Okay.
the old school.
Yeah,
Do
so it makes
analog.
it like
Well, what position is that on that?
up here, it says channels 1 through 40.
Oh, okay.
Now it's controlling 40 through 41,
yeah.
and then 81 through 120, and then submasters. So just be aware of that.
So normally the default position, you would keep it in as maybe submasters.
I think it would be easiest for you guys to use it as submasters, because then you have your area, you bring it up, etc. But yet again, personal preference on that.
If you're using it like that, does it show up on the computer itself, the live
Yes, right here at the bottom, it shows you that these are submasters right now. So they're green and they say S1, S2, and the labels are here too. News desk, very tiny print, good luck. I have terrible eyesight. And then you have, these are the channels, and it's like a physical representation of that.
We can change that screen on, right?
To this? Well, this is what you've purchased, yeah.
Would you like something like that?
Well, I was just thinking about that size. Because if we are to.
We're having at least 2 monitors?
No, just having one monitor, but having it be
A
larger than
larger one.
just one that's about the size of my laptop.
Well, I got 3 from KGO, or one of those.
Oh, those are giant. That would block your.
They're
window.
42
Yeah.
inches.
Yeah, they're,
I'm okay with that.
Might be a bit.
but,
Well,
No, but anyway, it's not,
Yeah. Feel
integral
free to
the
do
system. We can
whatever.
change it as
Yeah,
we-
totally, totally.
So if you loaded up your files, my files, and
Yeah.
I had a bunch of submasters, and I had something set, can I, in moments before the show, a white-haired anchor gets on there, and I have to change one light, can I switch this to 1 through 40 and use the fader?
It's
Or does it,
highest takes precedence. So if the value is higher in the submaster, when you're in that page,
it's gonna stick with it?
it's going to stick with that. Now, if
Okay,
you
so I
took
got
the
it.
value higher with this with the channel, then it would take
I'm
over.
sorry, what do you mean by value? Do you mean
Intensity,
Are you-
intensity, yes.
So the intent, that always takes precedence.
The highest intensity that you have it set at always takes precedence. So if it's higher in the submaster, it will stay at that intensity until you take something else. If you select it
Right, okay.
and take it to a higher value,
Okay.
you don't have to control it with the submaster. But you could always just type 40 at 20, roll it down, whatever you want to do. It's very controllable.
And still keep everything else in the sub
Yep.
intact.
Indeed. And then you don't have to record that. You just do it as a temporary thing. And, there you go.
Who's got white hair?
In case he
Us
jumps on-
blondes is what it is,
Remember Kristen? Remember Kristen?
Uh-huh.
No, from 660? No, none of you guys.
Uh, okay.
No, for you?
So let's go back to live. I'm going to get rid of that page so I can see. So
I had a lot of help, I just pointed, really.
what time is it, by the way? Is this correct?
11:10.
It's 11:10?
Yeah.
And we started at 10. Okay. Let me know when we're getting close to noon, because I'm going to wrap it up at that point so I can move on with the rest of the projects. Okay, so you guys don't have a keypad on here, so I don't have to go over that, but you could always attach a keypad to make it easier to label things if you wanted to. There's that. Let's record a group. Okay, so it's like a submaster, but only controlled through typing. So I want you to type in, and you can come down and do this too, it's super fun. I want you to type 1 through 10, and then we're going to hit record group. That should be a group button. 5, let's say, and then hit enter. Okay, now double tap the group button, and it'll take you to the groups page. And you can see that group 5 is channels 2 through 10. Now, if you say group 5, I want you to label it. So group 5, and there's a label button up yonder. And I'm just going to type in front, FRT. So now I know that group 5 is front. Now go back to live, which is everything that's live, and say group 5 at 10. And now it's taken all of those channels to 10%. So it's an easy way to group things together to be able to, I do that all the time in theatrical world because I want, or all your news desk is group 5, or just your high backs are 5, or whatever you want them to be. So it's
we could either have the shows as submasters or as groups.
or both included into one. So you could have groups and submasters, but submasters are controlled through here. Groups you have to physically type. So you have to say group 5 at 10%. You can't just slide it up. So it's less easy, but it is an option. Okay?
But when you have a group, can you load it up on the pad versus?
Yep. So on your,
So that's where the difference lies, is you can bring up the group on there
yes,
without having to come in here to
Uh-huh.
move a sub fader.
that is true. So I could say group 5 at, 0, enter. Group 5 at 50, enter. At
You
0.
don't have any faders on the tablet?
Let's look. I don't generally use them, so I'm not sure. Playback,
Like if you
maybe.
wanted to do a sub and
You could do sub, and then sub 1 at 10, let's say. And that brings everything that's controlled through sub, but there's no, like,
right, you have to
Actual
set,
fade,
you have to set
okay.
numerical.
yes.
So either or.
Either or. So you could do either one on here. And just to show you the color, so 18 has a color option, right? So I've hit 18 and then enter, which selects it on the iPad. And then up here at the top are all of your attributes. So you can hit colors with my fat chubby fingers, I swear. And then I can change it to whatever I want it to be. If you had a moving light in here, let's say, you could adjust its pan and tilt to move it to a new position.
If I want to have the exact same color for another light, is there any way I can type it in instead of like just selecting with the mouse?
On this, there's not, because it doesn't have every control feature that the light board does, but I could hit 50, let's see here, what is it? 44, recall, let's see here, color, recall from another channel, 47.
But I'll have to do that from here because
Yep.
I'll be just eyeballing it if I try to do it from here.
That is true. It doesn't have every control feature. It doesn't have the more in-depth things that the light board does, but
So
it
it's
does
just
have
Otherwise
a,
you wouldn't need the board.
yes.
It's just for us to show off there with the kids that we have
Yeah.
this thing, but we have to do everything here.
I also.
Well, no, you
I
just
mean,
take
to the
all of
groups
your
is
lights. Yeah, and you can take all of your colored lights and change them all at the same time out there.
Okay.
You just can't recall a color from another light
So
out
basically
there.
all the instructions are here and then you can just call it.
Call it back out
Yeah.
there. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The more in-depth things are here, but this is for ease of walking around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be awesome.
So are we gonna get a protective case for that?
You should, and there's a screen protector. There's a box somewhere in here. Over there, there's a screen protector. I just really am not great at putting them on, so I didn't bother because it'll just be bubbly and you'll all be really sad at
Put
me.
it to a cell phone store.
I-
gotta do it.
My personal one, it's all about tape, I guess. My lady did tape, but I have one that has like a little hand hold, you know, so it protects the whole thing and then has little corner pieces and then a hand piece, so I could just hold it in my hand while I'm out. Yeah, and then when I'm in the catwalks, if you're ever in the catwalks and have it, but you won't have that issue here.
You actually slip your hand into it?
Yeah.
It has
Like a handle.
It just goes around your hand here,
Is that what you guys want? Or would you rather, like a case?
or like a little flip top or
I
whatever.
don't care, I just want, I don't care what the back of it is, I just wanna make sure it's protected
Sure.
from being dropped.
And we have a
Yeah.
backup.
There's this one and then there's one in Studio 2, but they're separate and they will only work in their particular spaces because they're connected to their own network.
And I'm more concerned about it being misplaced or lost
Yeah.
than being damaged. I mean, because it's something that, you know,
Yeah.
we're having a lot of people here.
I think that's a good idea, we keep it in the
Yeah, I
cage
think so.
and take it when we need it.
That's
And
true. It can be
with-
part of our
maybe with the
checkout.
student ID, you know, like, hey, you have to bring this back
Yeah, you're
once you're done.
responsible.
Yeah.
That's
The
all
only,
nice.
the only thing I could foresee the problem being is that, you know, you assign 2 students and they're working here, and then there's another student down there changing what they're doing up here. So that could be a big mess,
So
you know what I mean?
they're essentially, yes, you should probably not use them at the same time. But they will not, they won't run over each other, I guess.
Does one take precedent?
I think the board takes precedence over anything else. So if they change something up here and then somebody changes something down there, it could go back and forth. So I don't suggest using them at the same time, but it is possible to do.
And we can always assign like one main lighting person and one assistant, you know, and they just gonna have to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll
Okay.
need another PL for that light.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good idea.
There's
A good thing to know about submasters is you can delete them. You can delete groups, you can delete submasters. This delete button is lovely and useful. So let's say I want to delete, I'm going to have you delete sub 1 for me. So the syntax is going to be delete
It's kind of hard, so you can practice a little bit too.
And
sub 1 and then enter. And then it's always going to ask you, are you really sure? Because that's useful. So hit it says please confirm. So hit enter again.
We're gonna delete that.
And
Perfect.
now,
And,
yes, and now sub 1 is deleted.
Okay.
Now you go, oh shoot, I did not want to do that. I typed the wrong number. So I'm going to have you back up and I'm going to have you come on in. And I want you to undo what we just did. So hit undo. And now delete sub 1 is there. So now just hit enter.
Oh, so I just hit enter.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because it's already yellow.
Okay.
And now that sub is back on there. Isn't that useful?
And so the button under it is just a blackout button, am I right?
Which one?
The
Oh,
buttons
it's a,
underneath the subs? Yeah.
no, it's a bump button. So it bump, you can, so if you ever wanted to like flash some lights or something, that might be an easy way to do it, or just to test them.
Okay.
I don't know why, you can deactivate that if you want, because I kind of like put my script there and then I'll like bump it and be like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
bad. So you could go in and deactivate that if you wanted.
Speaking of deactivate.
Yes.
Practical question here is, we're gonna leave the circuit breakers on for all these.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, so how do we ensure that we're shut down?
Well, the circuit breakers,
I mean, we could flip 50 circuit breakers every class.
I believe when the light board is off, and I had this issue in the other room this morning. I couldn't control anything. I didn't have power to all these units, and it was because the light board was off. So when the light board is off, the relays will still be on, but they will no longer be running power to your lights.
So, because with my old board, if you turn this off, they were on.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that won't happen in here. If this board is off, nothing will be on, unless you have had if you left something on, like say 10 was still on when you turned the light board off,
Right.
that might stay on.
They'll stay on.
Yeah, that was the problem.
How do we clear, or how do we normalize the board at the end of the session?
Go to queue out. And right now nothing will turn off out there because I have those lights parked on so that I can't mess with them. Parking is if you selected 1 through 5 and then did them at 30, and then 1 through 5, and park on this board is a soft key, so it's one of these guys that you have to use the mouse on. I could park them, and then once you double tap park, at the top there. Oh, we didn't hit it fast enough. Double tap park. Oh, it is. Where's park? Oh, it's up here. We just have a lot of stuff. So all of these are parked on at different levels, all of these channels. So 2 through 5 are at 30, and then these are all the RGB lights that I have parked on for him. So then you could do, let's say, 2 through 5. And now to release them, you hit at and then enter, which is not necessarily something you would think about. Oh, you hit 5 through 5, see? 2 through 5. At, enter. At, and then enter. Yep. There you go. Now they've released themselves.
I would have gone to clear instead of just add.
Yeah,
enter.
which is not, that's what I would think too, but that's not how they have the syntax for releasing things from park. There used
From
to be a
park.
release button, but now it's not. It's just,
for park.
yeah, that's just for park.
What would clear have done?
Nothing. It would have just cleared what you typed.
It would have laughed at you.
So yeah, if you ever can't figure something out, definitely refer to the manual, because there are some things like just syntax things that they've made not really,
User friendly.
yeah, or just not like something you would think that would be, you know what I mean?
So to normalize, you do Q out, enter, or just Q out?
Go to queue is a button right here,
Okay.
and then out, and then enter.
Could we do just a blackout? Could that normalize it as well, or not?
I think so, but then when you turn the board on and you're not realizing that blackout was enabled,
Right.
Yes.
So I think that happened, but I mean,
With the other board,
Yeah.
people would black it out, and my students would, no, Chris, that's not working. What do
Yeah.
we do?"
So, I mean, you may want to go in and disable that. I don't know, but let me show you.
Well, with the other board, there was no little light to tell you that you blacked out.
Mm.
So you didn't know somebody gets blacked out.
Right.
There was no indication.
Now you're going to be doing some cues.
Yeah.
All right. Now this is basic 1, 5 timings. You could also auto follow your cues if you wanted, so that they could follow in sequence. So like if I said cue 1, follow, soft key. There's some soft keys here. You could link to another cue if you wanted.
Okay.
You could follow to the next cue in 5 seconds. So I'm going to do Q1, follow 5, and then enter. That means that Q1, when it executes, will automatically follow into 5 in 5 seconds. Does that make sense? So go to Q1 and, oops, sorry guys.
Because all our shows are timed to the second.
Yeah, right. So precise, so precise.
Well, yeah. If I hit go, now it's gonna go. So I sequentially, and now watch the auto follow. It's there, and
Oh, I see.
now it's doing it. See how that does that?
Oh, that's good.
So that's a good, another fun option. If you were in this blackout queue and you wanted to add 1 light into it, I'm gonna let you type.
Okay.
Let's do 17 at full, let's say.
Okay.
Okay, now we want to update this queue.
Okay.
If you hit update, and then it's going to automatically assume you want to update the queue you're in.
Okay.
So you can hit enter. And now Q5, you see how the color up here has changed. It's no longer highlighted. Now it's recorded into that queue.
Okay. So if I were to go back,
Now hit go.
and I hit go, and so,
So now 17 is on at full.
what's that?
Cool.
How are they not driving them crazy?
We are. I told him if he wanted to work in here, that's what was going to happen. Not my fault. And do you ever use tracking when you record your cues, or do you record in cue only? And do you know what that means when I say that?
I don't know what that means.
Okay, so when you record cues, you can either be in tracking mode or in cue only mode. Now currently I'm in tracking, which means when I make a change, it will track into the next set of cues until it finds a stopping point. I hate tracking personally.
Yeah, I think we just do cue to cue.
Great, so let me go into here in your browser. You've got some setup options. You got show settings, desk settings. I'm gonna go into show settings, and there's a bunch of different stuff in here you're never gonna use, and I never use it either. This is where you would set your default cue times.
Oh, nice.
So you could change it to 2, or I have a lot of designers that change it to 4.9 so they know they haven't assigned a time. So sorry, my phone. Whoops, and that off, my bad. Bill, my company. Bill. Yes, Bill?
Hi.
Hi.
Bring this setup that you just brought up a second ago.
See, we need a PL.
That? Sure. No problem. Okay, that was convenient. Okay, so that's where you would change your time. You could change it to, let's say, 3 seconds. And then when you record a cue, it will automatically assume you want it to be 3 seconds until you change it to something else. So there you go. There's that. You have show control if you are ever going to attach MIDI to this, or time code, or, you know, like if you had a rock and roll show that was set to a CD and you wanted all your cues to just go with that music, you could set that up. Probably not something you're going to use, but it's something fun and cool. Delve into that book there if you ever want to do that, because I don't know how to set it up.
I should mention, we do have a resident expert.
Awesome.
Because we have this board in the little theater,
Oh, cool.
around back there, whatever it's called now. And the same board, and Ray Oppenheimer, who is the lighting guy for the college, he he's our resident lighting guy.
So if you have any questions, contact him. Then contact DCC, and if you really can't figure it out, you can always call my cell phone.
But Ray is also extremely, like, cooperative and helpful.
So everything is being saved to this project?
It's okay.
Like every change you do right now,
Yeah.
you have to save it or it's just being saved?
You have to save it.
What if I want to go back to the previous file?
Then you could always load that previous file.
But wouldn't that previous file be already this saved version?
No, because every time you save, it saves a new version. So it gives it a new time code. It saves it at 11:45 and 48 seconds. And you can always go back and open it for
Could you show us how to?
yes. Let me finish this
Okay.
little setup here because we're already in it, and then you can see all your options, and then we'll go do that.
Pardon me, guys, one thing, we have those 3 battens we tied together for power, so I just need a couple of strong, willing bodies before everybody splits to help us raise 3 at once.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks.
So I've got down here we have show settings and desk settings. Desk settings is this desk, and it gives you record defaults. You want playback enabled. You have tracking mode, and we don't want that. We want to be in queue only now.
I think
So when
that's
it
what I do.
updates, it only updates that queue that you're in currently, and it doesn't track those through. It's really hard to think in tracking, but old lighting designers, the old boards used to do that, and they didn't have an option for queue only, so that's why they still have that option
Yeah.
for people who are already in that mindset. You got record confirm. Are you sure you really want to record over this queue? I leave that enabled
Yes.
in case. Delete confirm is also enabled. You can disable it. So if you delete something, are you really sure you want to delete that? Yeah, I am. You can change your
Which you can undo.
yes, you can undo. You can change your desk lamp, which is here. You can change it to your brightness, has a little knob on the side here.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Such detail.
Set up a sub for it.
Yeah, right. You could change that, I guess. You've got some manual controls, default times. Sneak is a button you can use. It just, if you hit sneak, it takes everything that it's like a release. It releases everything and it takes it in 5 seconds right now. You can change that. Blah, blah. All this stuff in here is fun. You can just play with it. What else? This is your blackout. Your face panel keypad is what that is. You can disable the blackout button. So now I can't hit blackout. Or you can keep it enabled, whatever y'all
I
want.
think we'll keep it enabled because at least it has the light on it.
Mm-hmm.
That lets us know.
Yes.
I know I've asked this before, but say I'm playing with this and I make changes and I save it to my drive, and then Chris comes in, loads his up, all
All
my
of
changes
these.
go away.
Yep.
Everything
Everything.
changes back to his original setting.
All of this is included in your show file.
Great.
It's not like just for this. Your
I was gonna say, same question. I would like to actually see that because I think that we're going to be facing that like
Oh, yeah.
every single time
Sure.
we switch class.
We've got the Grand Master, which is this guy, which changes everything to, it takes everything at the same time.
Now, would that actually affect the parking too, if you park your lights?
No, park is just park. It's parked.
Wow.
That's it, baby. Even if I turn the board off, it'll still be parked on.
Oh, okay.
So always check if park is lit up, you have stuff parked on. So that you can disable or enable. Space bar go if you have a keypad.
You know,
Yeah. Hide the mouse. I don't know that you should ever touch that
No.
because if you do, you'll be really sad because you won't be able to fix it. There's some displays. You can change your display to just be 100, show 100 channels on a page, but I think that you don't need that. Blah, blah, blah. That's all stuff you don't need. You could print if you wanted from here. You can print your show file. You need RFR enabled because that's what enables you to use your relays and your transmitters. So if you're ever having an issue with that, check that or reload your show. Cool, okay.
So it's infrared.
RFR, I don't know what that necessarily stands for. I'm sorry, I don't. I'll have to look it up for y'all. This is my second training. I'm only 3 weeks into the job.
Oh, wow.
I've only been working for Barbizon for 3 weeks, but I was a freelance lighting designer for 4 years before that. So I know what I'm doing. We're okay. All right, what was the question? What were we gonna do after this? I forget now.
Saving,
Oh, saving. Okay, so I'm gonna have you do it. Go hit the displays button up there, which brings up your browser. And now go to File. So use your mouse and hit that little arrow there. And if that top button saves under whatever you've last saved it onto the hard drive. So you could double click that studio one up there, double click that, and then hit OK. Saving, success. And now Save As has your show file archive. So if you hit that little arrow over button, you can create a new folder and then name it. So hit the backspace button until you get to N. Okay, now name it whatever you want to name it. Let's say, yeah.
I'm just gonna put second.
Sure. And then
Enter.
enter. And now you have a new folder. So I save each show into a new folder
That's a good idea.
so that it contains all those files. So now double click on that
Got it.
and now hit OK. And now this is what it last was. You can just backspace all that and say 2N, or you can't. Yeah, you have to hit it individually. It's super annoying. I know.
Can't highlight it and just start typing.
Yes. And double tapping of clear used to clear your command line. And now it doesn't, which is really annoying.
Have the flag of the United States.
No idea.
Probably,
We're in America.
Patriotic.
America.
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 So now you've got it in there.
Uh-huh.
And now if you unclick that Save As button up there, now if you go to Open, you've got your Show File Archive, which is the hard drive.
This one here. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And then if you open my Store and Go, you can see all the files in there. But those are for my, yeah,
What have you done?
a lot of stuff. You want a Christmas Carol? I'll load some Christmas Carol for you all. So now if you click that arrow over on second on your folder, then you can see that. And if you saved it again, it would save it again, same file name, but different time
yeah.
or different date.
Which one is the one that I load? This one, the ESF?
Yep, yep, yep.
And I
Double
just
click that.
Double-click it?
And now everything, you're loading everything. That's okay. Now hit OK.
Correct.
Yep, hit OK. Loading show. End of story. Easy peasy, right, guys?
Can you show how to access it again if you're
Sure.
looking at the lighting page?
So let's say we were in this screen, right? Why don't you come over and just hit displays, which is right up at the top, and that brings that right up. And then you have all of your little options. And if you want to play around, this is the time when I'm going to kind of step back and let you guys play and have questions and do whatever you want. Maybe record some cues, record some submasters. Everybody take a turn, okay?
So is this the same as what's in Studio One?
Yes. Same
Or
light,
Studio
same light board.
How large are the files that save to your hard drive? I mean, to your jump drive?
Minuscule.
Really?
It's just channel. I mean, it's not anything really.
Okay.
And you can save it, and you can come around and play
Does
or
it
whatever, and
matter
I'll
if we have
answer
other-
questions.
So if I take the file that I use for my classes, like,
Huh?
I have lectures on there.
Yeah.
Does it matter?
No.
So do you save other things
My
on that
stick
flash?
has all sorts of stuff
Oh,
on
okay.
it, and then
So
it just
only
has.
reads the files that are.
Yeah, yeah. You could
relevant.
never open something else
Okay, good.
on there.
Oh, it's gone. It's
Excellent.
Yeah. Just don't record over my show file on my USB drive. I'm just going to take it out, so you can't screw it up, because I'm going to reload
Is there a
it.
release for that?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask.
No,
Okay.
it does. There's no eject button or
Okay.
anything.
So it doesn't
Platform
damage it?
agnostic, does it matter what your format is?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'm
Well,
sorry.
Well, your
I-
USB drive opened on my Mac,
Yep.
so it's not like particular to PC or.
No.
It's the keyboard, the flag.
Oh, because
They
oh,
have different-
well, that's kind of cool. Didn't know. I learned something new. Look at you guys.
Oh, we can have British English?
Yeah, I guess
do
so.
that.
I need
I
one of
think-
those little ends for a Nino. Come on.
I think we should change it to German,
So,
I think so.
so everything just sounds angry.
so Oscar, are you just saving and you?
So yeah, let's say. I'm gonna put, under.
Now, because you didn't backspace all of that, it's going to say new folder and then whatever
Under
you've
SF,
typed. Yeah. So
Is there an order to power down? We power down from here and then?
it's only the one button, and you can just
Oh, okay. I see.
when you're
I'll
done.
turn that one on.
I leave that one
Oh.
Yeah.
It's just in case one of your students comes in and flips it off, and then why isn't this button working? Check that first.
Okay.
Can I,
What, we
And
should
how do
call
we
Michelle?
erase?
And we are specific.
Erase?
to leave
Say I
it
wanna
on
erase
here.
this one, cause,
you can't,
I think we were supposed
it's
to
always
leave
gonna
everything
be
on
there.
here, right?
yeah,
Always.
I don't know, that keeps changing.
like it's always gonna be here?
Alright.
Yeah, it's always in there. You can't delete any files off of there.
Really?
Yeah, you can't.
Really?
There's no way to delete that.
Sure about that.
Last I
Oh,
heard.
wow, that's.
Like, try right-clicking on it if you want nothing, right? Yeah, you can't delete any of that.
Okay.
No,
Those are supposed to stay.
you can't delete any of that stuff.
Did you guys
The
share
only
that?
things we should
What's that?
at least-
Anything you store on the hard drive, you can't delete it. You can never remove it.
Yeah, you can't delete files off of this hard drive. They'll always be there.
You can't delete them
How large is the
this
hard drive?
way. Where you can go into a.
No.
You can't even really.
So
Not on the
we don't
internal
wanna
drive.
like
You can
load
delete
it.
it on your thumb drive.
Yeah, you can delete it off your thumb drive, but
Yeah,
not
that's
on the
what I-
internal
How
hard
large
drive.
is the hard drive?
Okay, so
I mean-
Oscar, so. how-
That's something
how
we'd
do
have to
you-
look up in the
so you-
manual.
This is probably less
Save
than a
it. Now,
megabyte
how do
each, so
you-
I'm sure
How do you
it's like,
record
we'll never come across that.
how do
It's
you
just data.
record a new show file?
It's
Yeah,
nothing
but the
but-
last time we.
A
had
new
one
file?
change.
Yeah, or, yeah, a new.
I mean, it's like, you know.
Yeah, just-
I understand, that
No,
makes
no,
sense.
no,
So
no,
you're
so
checking
now
folder.
you have under
Considering
SF,
your,
do
we'll
some
click on
settings
it.
and save them.
And I'm sure faculty are gonna come and go. and-
This one here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And then I start working on this
Yep.
one, right?
Yep, you do whatever you want.
So the things that we'll have to, since we cannot delete, and that's kind of horrible. In my
Well, that's why I do folders, because you can't ever get rid of that. Now,
Right.
you can
Subfolder?
complain to, no, I
Inside
don't
a
think you
folder?
can.
But you can change it.
I mean,
right? Or
we
does
could
it No,
we can rename it?
Or we-
No?
no, so.
You can
if
save it as something new.
So when you change it.
Yeah, right.
And record, does it save as something new automatically?
It saves, yes, as a new, so anytime it has a new time code on it. So I've saved SFU Studio Patch 1. If I saved it again, it would have the same name and then just a different date and time code.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, the more you save, you could have 10 files if I save 10 times in a
So
row.
now that he named it, how does he get back,
Ourselves with the.
how do you get back into the actual display?
Oh, if you hit live, that brings you to live.
Okay.
Or you can, you would hit whatever you want, and then this arrow down button gets rid of that.
Okay, so now he's there and he makes some changes and he hits record. Does it automatically save to whatever folder you?
Whatever
Yeah,
you've
check in.
selected. So you need to go in and select.
Right,
So,
so at that point where he just created that, he,
okay, so he changed blah, 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 and recorded a cue. And so
Yes.
now something's different, right? And he goes to save. The only way to save it is, save it here. This is the shortcut. It saves it as whatever the last file name was. Or you can save it in a new file, but you have to physically select and then
So-
change its
okay,
name.
so how do you physically select it?
So I'm going to save it under second. I double tap that, double click, and I hit OK. I can change it version 2. Change the file name. That's how you do that. But you can just save it, and now it's there. So second V2, and a new time code on it, timestamp.
Can we create like a folder that says unused and drag other stuff into it?
I don't believe so. This is something you should just go onto the blog on ETC and complain the heck out of, and then they'll fix it later.
No, because I'm just saying, because with so many users, especially when we're testing
Just
a lot of stuff,
management.
it's going to be a lot of files there for.
So then just save it to your thumb drive.
Yeah, that'll be one thing, but we already have those there.
Yep, they're there, and you can't get rid of them. So I don't know what else to tell you about that, but I don't
You
work
can
for.
initialize it or whatever.
So it doesn't, it
That
doesn't
company.
say, when you save it to your thumb drive, it doesn't also save it to the internal
Yeah.
drive
No.
unless
You have to
select
manually do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to manually do it.
If you wanted it on both, you actually need to go and select
save
both
twice.
of them and save it twice.
Yeah, you do.
So if
But
I
one of them's
load
a
it from
shortcut.
my,
Yeah.
my,
US.
jump drive,
Uh-huh.
and it'll, if I hit save, it'll just save it to the jump drive.
It should default to wherever
It's-
the
Yeah, it'll
source is,
default,
right?
it defaults to where you loaded the file from.
I believe so, but you may want to look up there to show archive, because if it says show archive.
You just-
clients if that wasn't built in that way,
I think if we just used our thumb drives, I don't think this is gonna be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, now you have these files and you can't get rid of
That's
them.
fine,
Sorry about
that's
that.
fine. No,
But
but
there.
what we should do is just have a general one,
That starting template that we get from the kids if we need it.
correct, yeah,
Yeah,
and
I'm with
then
that.
save it to ourselves, our own, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to
We
control
have to
it.
deal with multiple
Sure.
classes and That's just,
I totally understand it. I mean, these boards are not made with that in mind. They're made with a theater who wants to just reference the shows that they've done.
If we had all the subnets set up for each
So you
individual
can't
Yeah.
copy
set
this.
block,
Nope.
I can't copy it or
Nope.
drag it anywhere.
No.
you know,
Okay.
like,
Sorry, I screwed that all up for you guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
it's just
where
gonna be
it's,
real funky, like management.
drives are gonna be there.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say. You guys will just have to figure out how best to use it for you and how best to save it. Maybe each person has their own file folder, like with a name on it, or we just keep it to jump drives. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be whatever you guys discover.
Something that's already planned.
All right. Are there any other questions or anything that you guys are feeling like hasn't been covered yet? Maybe shutdown process we need to do. How about that? Anything else that you guys feel needs to be covered?
I don't know about anybody else, but I
Well, we're
would
just
like.
gonna, we're gonna be working in Studio 2. How different is it gonna be?
Exactly the same, except that the layout will be different because there's only like 16 or 17 lights in there. And we'll go over there. It's not set
so
up.
It's not 53.
No, it's like, half the size. It's like a third of this room.
But there's
um,
RGBs and everything.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'll have a plot made out for you guys so you can take a look at that, and it'll all be channeled for you according to that plot. So it should be easy, but we can take a look over there. Let's go over to shutdown process real quick. Okay, so let's say we're in this screen, right? And we want to shut, it's live, and we want to shut down. We go to the displays button, which is up here at the top. And then all this, you can exit or you can power off your device, either one. If you do exit, it takes you to this page here, which takes a second to load. Yeah, it's an admin page, and you can go as, you don't want to ever select any of these other options, but you could go to settings, and you could change certain things in there. You can software update from there. You can change your monitor arrangement when you add a second monitor, if you ever do that.
So how did you get to that
Oh,
other
sure.
page then?
Okay, so
You hit displays?
oh, here, let me go back to primary, and then I'll show you how to do that. Sorry, guys. Oh, so sorry. File, exit,
Okay.
and OK. Exit, and then OK. And then
And do you have to exit? Or can
settings.
you just power down?
You can just power down. I'm just showing this to you.
Power down is going to be our option.
So settings
Okay.
there. And then you have all these tabs, general. There's a network. Don't mess with anything on that unless you want to be really sad. Because that controls your...
Don't wanna be.
Believe me, it took me an hour and a half to set this damn thing up yesterday. Darn thing up. That's recorded now. Dang it. Can you cut that? Edit? That'd be great for me. You can do...
We'll just
The
beep it
7
out.
words you can't say on television.
Yeah, you can do maintenance from here if you ever needed to do that. I don't know what local I/O is, but there is some settings in there. The RFR, don't change that.
Yeah.
So there's all those
We're
things.
majorly going to be users,
Those
not.
settings, yeah.
So
Yeah.
once you hit
Yeah.
exit OK, that was it.
Shut draft.
And then shut down.
Shut down.
Oh, okay.
So
Shut
we can
down.
Shut down if we hit exit
Yep.
by accident.
Yep. So all these other options here, client, offline, and backup, that's for larger theaters that have multiple setups so that they can be either a client or offline and not messing with
I also noticed
anything.
that when we
And then do we power?
went into exit and then went back
Shut
to
down.
primary again,
Uh-huh.
it shut
And then
off
yes.
the park lights.
Oh, I guess it did. That must be a new feature of the update. I had not seen that before, but it just did. Oh, it's because the relays are no longer getting signal in your venue. Now, if they were attached to dimmers, then they would have stayed on.
Yeah.
But because the
Hey,
relays, Jeff,
You shut the board off, the park goes off.
all the stuff that's parked on will also go off because the
So
relays are no longer
What she said
receiving.
before is not true. If
Yes.
you shut off the board, all the lights shut off.
Yes, and it would be if they were attached to dimmer modules, then they would stay on because they'd still have that last signal. And then
So even if you have your dimmers up, it's still gonna shut everything
Yep.
down?
it will, because the relays will no longer be getting signal. Then your power on button is just here. There you go.
So we would power down at the end of the
You're
class.
gonna power down just the top button.
Yep. And this little plug, it comes in here. It goes into this USB thingy. It's not.
To keep it,
It's just to keep it clean.
Yep.
So I suggest putting that back, and then
There's a cover, right?
yes, thank you.
Oh, nice.
Yep. This little cover just goes over the top to keep dust out. It prolongs the life of your board.
good.
Whatever you plan to do with this guy, you know. This is its charger, or you could just plug it into the board like I was doing earlier.
That will go into the cage too.
There you go. So that's everything. And if you guys want to just take a gander, I'll let Bill bring you over to the other studio because he has set it all up and we're still powering it up right now, but he can walk you through what it's going to be.
Okay.